Could Kumba possibly be on the chopping block? This classic B&M sit-down coaster has been operating since 1993 at Busch Gardens Tampa and is approaching its 30th year anniversary. It's located in the back of the park, and prior to Iron Gwazi, it was my favorite roller coaster in the park. And I don't think I was the only person who had that opinion. You can identify its roar from just about anywhere in the park. It's such an icon for Busch Gardens, so why would they remove it? It is one of the oldest B&Ms out there, and it's been operating almost every single day on potentially 2 or 3 trains. There is no denying that it is showing its age. It's very possible that we could be nearing the end of Kumba's service life. Because Busch Gardens is a year-round park that sees big attendance numbers, I imagine that's put a lot of strain on the attraction. Now, I do not work at Busch Gardens Tampa, so I don't know what everything that the maintenance crews have been dealing with or any problems the ride might have in operations, but I think we have a couple other examples that we can look at here to back up this possibility. First, I want to look at Hulk. This ride operated for 16 years at Islands Adventure before they shut it down for a full retrack. And this ride is in a very similar situation as Kumba, where it is operating almost every single day, 2 or 3 trains. Obviously, it didn't make it anywhere near as long as Kumba did before Universal said, we're going to close it down, put in all new track, new trains, and that way we can keep it running for years to come. Now, Universal has a lot of money. They were essentially paying for a brand new roller coaster to replace the old one. So they aren't even gaining a new attraction by spending that much money. The average park isn't going to do that. That doesn't mean they won't, but it really has to be worth it. And I'm looking at Alton Towers for this. They're the next park to possibly be taking this step, and it looks like they're going to do that with Nemesis. That's been operating since 1994, and Kumba is older than both of those. So Busch Gardens has some options here. The first is that they could do a full retrack, maybe for the 30th anniversary in 2023. That'd be a cool way to honor the attraction. Do a big upgrade for it. They could do it in the style of Hulk, where they do some slight branding and theme updates, and keep it going for years to come. Here's the problem. You're probably not going to get as much of an attendance pull that way, and you're missing out on bringing in potentially something new. So you could spend just as much money or even more and get something brand new that is going to have a huge draw. You take out Kumba and suddenly, look how much land you have access to. Now, I'm not talking about a full park expansion here, but if you want to fit in potentially more than one roller coaster, you totally could. Right now, this parking lot is being used for employees, and this area right here is not being used at all. They might have some trouble using it for a new attraction, but at the end of the day, if Busch Gardens wanted to use that land to fit in a new roller coaster, I have no doubt that they could. So as much as I love Kumba, I am very skeptical that the park would do a full retrack on it. If they had an unlimited budget like it seems Universal does, then maybe it'd be a different story. But this is SeaWorld Entertainment we're talking about, and I think they have big plans for Busch Gardens. So for the sake of speculation, let's say that Kumba is completely bulldozed. Where do you go from there? And I think in addition to a new roller coaster, we'd be seeing some upgrades to the Jungala area. This is definitely the next section of the park that really needs some love. So they could add in 1 or 2 more attractions, do a theming overhaul, and boom, suddenly that area is refreshed and we have a big new attraction there. So this is where we get to the fun part. What sort of roller coaster could we see back here? I'm going to address a couple possibilities here, but there's definitely one that stands out in my mind, and that is a Giga coaster. If any park in America, outside of Knott's Berry Farm, was to get a Giga, I think Busch Gardens is a top contender. They get the attendance numbers, and they have the land for it. I did some measuring here on Google Earth, and here's some fun stats for you. Now, for the sake of this, let's assume that we're working with this space. From Kumba's entrance to the back border is 822 feet. Now, I know this isn't a Giga, but for reference, the base of Mako's lift to the turnaround is 735 feet. So in other words, you could use Kumba's station and fit Mako here. Now, what if we got a bit more creative? Fury 325's brake run to the first turn is 1,300 feet. Now, obviously, that's a lot bigger than from Kumba's entrance to the back border, but if you went diagonally, suddenly you have a bit more space. Not enough for Fury, but enough for Leviathan. From the base of the lift to the first turn, you're looking at 1,100 feet. And knowing B&M, if they want to come out with a layout to fit in an attraction like that, they could. You just put the lift going up over Congo River Rapids, have it drop on the other side, go into a turnaround, and use that space to its advantage. I think it is completely doable. I think it's the attraction that Busch Gardens Tampa would most benefit from. It's extremely different from everything else in Florida. It is so marketable, and it would give Busch Gardens one of the best coaster collections in the world, even though they already have one of the best, but it would be even better. Now, obviously, I know that there's a lot of potential here for something. I don't want to just look at one option, although personally, I do think that one would be the best fit. And as a coaster lover, it's also what I hope happens the most. But let's consider a couple other things. What else could Busch Gardens Tampa benefit from? One of the first things that come to mind is a good wooden roller coaster. The problem is, I'm not sure that they want a repeat of history with the original Gwazi. We saw how that one went, and so I think they'd have to be very careful if they're to do that again. Doesn't mean that there aren't some options. I mean, GCI now is very different from the GCI that built Gwazi back in the day. Their track is so much better, I'm sure that they could keep it smooth. Even if you went with Gravity Group and their new pre-cut track, you definitely have some options. I think it'd be a phenomenal fit, but I'm just skeptical, is all. If the park decided they want to work with B&M, but didn't want to go to a Giga, they do have a couple other options. A hyper coaster and a flying coaster are the two that come to mind. The only problem with those is you do have one of each down the road at SeaWorld Orlando, which is about an hour away from here. You could make them different enough that you could probably get away with it. I just could see that being a point of, well, let's not do that so that we keep our parks diverse enough from each other. If they were to stray away and go with something completely different, these RMC single rails are very popular. There is currently not one in the state of Florida. It would give Busch Gardens 2 RMCs. It's a different enough ride and takes up a pretty thin footprint that heck, you could probably fit in something like Jersey Devil and still have room for another attraction. We know how crazy SeaWorld has been with adding roller coaster after roller coaster to these places. I don't think it's that far-fetched to think that we could possibly be seeing more than one new roller coaster here in the next couple years if we keep seeing the trend that SeaWorld Entertainment is on. Some other fun ideas? I would love to see a new S&S Access somewhere in Florida, and this would be a great location for one. If they want to go with Gerstlauer, putting in a ride with a vertical lift hill and beyond vertical drop would be pretty spectacular here, and those can be pretty compact rides, so like an RMC single rail, you could probably fit in more than one attraction here if you used your space to the best of its ability. And that's what's so fun about playing this game. As sad as it is that this would mean losing a spectacular ride, it means that you also get to have some fun and get creative. Think about the future of that space. What would the guests love most? In a market like this, you gotta stay competitive. And so if they have a big ride like this that's reaching the end of its service life, you don't just rip it out and put nothing in its place. You gotta have something even better that's coming up next so that the public continues to have reasons to wanna give you money. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Again, at the moment, Kumba's removal is all just talk and speculation. Nothing is confirmed, but as soon as we learn more information, we'll be sure to do a video about it. What do you think about a potential Kumba removal, and what would you like to see take its place? Post all that down in the comments below, and stay tuned for more here at Coaster Studios, and we'll see you next time.